What's up, everyone? Justin here, back with a new countdown show. My it's not a top 10, but it's a top 8. I probably could have made it a top 10, but whatever. I will mention a few of the arenas that did not make it. This is my top 8 all-time wrestling arenas that just have been great, that have had great fan bases in them, that have always had a ton of energy, have never been a dead crowd, have never sucked, have always been good crowds in these arenas. For WCW, WWF, ECW, even going back to WCCW, World Class Championship Wrestling in the 80s. They are mentioned and they did make the top 8 wrestling arenas. Here's my new countdown of the top 8 wrestling arenas, in my opinion. From what I've seen as a fan, growing up as a little kid in the late 80s, I saw a lot of these arenas from pay-per-view shows that were there, or TVs, and stuff like that. Sadly, I have not been to any of these arenas. I'm sure the atmosphere was fucking great when the arenas were just packed and wrestling was on fire and the company was just in their prime. Number 8, I'm going to go with the city of Chicago. Not just for the WWF. I forget the names of the arenas in Chicago. It was the All-State Arena for a long time. Rosemont Horizon for a long time. And for WCW, NWA, they ran Chicago. I think the building arena was called the UIC Pavilion or something. I forget the name. But a lot of great, just fucking hype crowds always showed up. They showed up at WrestleMania 2 in Chicago, Rosemont Horizon. Great fucking arena that I believe WWE still was running, the Rosemont Horizon, but it's called a different name, I believe. The building is a fucking shithole. It is an absolute shithole. I don't know how it looks now. Maybe they cleaned it up, but I heard from a lot of friends of mine that have been there that it was a dump. But whatever. A lot of buildings were dumps. And they still had great crowds and great shows. But number 8 is the Chicago arenas that the WWF ran, and that WCW and the NWA ran in the late 80s, early 90s. WCW had a hot crowd for the Chi-Town Rumble 89 pay-per-view. They had a fucking really hot crowd for the 1990 Halloween Havoc in Chicago in that arena. I think it's called UIC Pavilion, I think. And Spring Stampede 94, Chicago, WCW. That crowd was fucking hot too. And for WWF shows, I said WrestleMania 2, Survivor Series 89 was there. It was a hot crowd. The Monday Night Raw in 1999, I think in August, when Jericho debuted in Chicago, Rosemont Horizon, the crowd was so fucking hot and fucking hype. That was in Chicago in 99 when Jericho debuted and had a mic segment, mic battle with The Rock. Just Chicago, always a great crowd in the late 80s and 90s for WCW and the WWF. Later on, WWF for SummerSlam 94, they went to the United Center where the Chicago Bulls played, won all their championships.
I don't know if I think that, no, United Center, I don't believe, opened until 94. So the Bulls already were 3-time champs, but whatever. I think United Center opened like right after SummerSlam 94 was there. It was like freshly new arena. So anyways, WWF stopped, totally stopped running the United Center. They probably wanted too much money to rent then, is my guess. The costs were too high. So Vince took WWF back to the Rosemont Horizon. But WCW started running the United Center for a lot of Nitros, and the crowds were fucking hot. I think at one Nitro in 97, Dennis Rodman appeared, and is in Chicago. And he's a Chicago Bull. The crowd fucking loved it. Loved seeing Rodman with the NWO. Number 7, Arena. For just awesome wrestling, great wrestling fans. The crowds were always hype. Number 7, Atlanta, GA. Atlanta for NWA. For Georgia Championship Wrestling. For WCW. Atlanta, the Arena, the Omni. The Omni, great fucking wrestling fans. Were always hype and very loud and excited. They were never a bad crowd. WCW ran the Omni a lot. They were in the home base of Atlanta. And they did Starrcade 92 there. Really good crowd for Starrcade 92. They also did, what else? Slamboree 93 pay-per-view. So number 7, Arena, just top wrestling arena. Number 7, the Omni in Atlanta. I think it's torn down. I don't know. Number 6, NXT, Full Sail University. Always was a hype crowd, especially from like 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Full Sail for NXT was always a really good hype crowd. Not every show, they weren't like super good and super hype, but I'd say 90 to 95% of the Full Sail NXT shows with the crowd was really damn good and brought a lot of energy and made the shows better. So number 6, Full Sail NXT at Full Sail. Also, Atlanta, not just the Omni for number 7, but also they ran Center Stage for WCW Saturday nights. That crowd was also very hype and excited. And what was really funny about the Center Stage crowd, it was like a little studio, but they had hype fans for WCW Saturday nights at Center Stage. What was funny about that crowd in the early 90s, they would always start chanting, whoop, there it is. Whoop, there it is. When Ron Simmons would come out, Two Cold Scorpio, I don't know why, and the audience in Atlanta was like, I'd say probably like 70 to 60, maybe 80% black. But they were fucking excited to see Ron Simmons, Two Cold Scorpio, Sting, and they would chant at them, whoop, there it is. It was pretty cool to hear that. Watch it back on the network, Saturday nights from like WCW Saturday nights from like 92, 93. The crowd was hype. Number 5. Not number 5. Number 5 is Atlanta again for WCW Saturday Night Center Stage. Number 4, WCCW World Class Championship Wrestling, the Spectrum in Dallas. Not a big building. Got super hot as hell inside of it. They had like a rat problem also. I heard Jim Cornette explain, I think it's Jim Cornette or some wrestler in the 80s said they were backstage at the not the Spectrum, what the hell is the building's name? The Sportatorium in Dallas, Texas. WCCW ran there for years. The Von Erichs were super over. The crowds are always fucking hype in the Sportatorium in Dallas, Texas. That's number 4. And some wrestler, I heard this from Jim Cornette, said backstage they had like a rat problem and the ceiling was like falling down, or holes in the ceiling, and rats would fall onto your lap backstage in the locker rooms. But what a building. The Sportatorium, what a fucking building. Had great wrestling fans there in the 80s. Sadly, I think it burned. It had a bad fire inside of it. But whatever. Great documentary on WCCW. The network, WWE, made one. But there's another one called, I think it's called The Heroes of World Class. I have it on DVD, and it was really cool to see Kevin Von Erich go back to the Sportatorium. He had to like pull the door open and let himself in. And I think it was like all fire damaged or something. Or it was just closed down, and it looked like it became a dump. And nobody wanted to like put money into it to restore it or fix it up. I think it's eventually it was torn down, sadly. But you had so many fucking legends of wrestling appear in the Sportatorium. The Von Erichs, Bruiser Brody, King Kong Bundy, Andre the Giant, God damn, Ric Flair, the Freebirds, so many legends. So number 4, World Class Championship Wrestling, the Sportatorium in Dallas, Texas. If I would have lived in Texas, I would have fucking went there as a kid. I would have tried. Number 3, WWE always going to Brooklyn. Barclays Center, Brooklyn, New York is number 3. Great fucking crowd. Always a hot crowd and always hype. They were great for NXT takeovers. They've been great for Raws, and I think they had part of Raw 25 there. The SummerSlams they had there. And the Brooklyn WWE fans are great. At the Barclays Center is number 3. Brooklyn. Number 2, Madison Square Garden for the crowds were even hype for the WWF in the 70s and 60s and early 80s. But the crowds are just always good. Just really knowledgeable, really passionate, hardcore wrestling fans were at the Madison Square Garden shows always for the WWF. WrestleMania 1. Monthly house shows were held there. Monthly big events in the 80s were always held there every month. And just WrestleMania 1, WrestleMania 10, WrestleMania 20, SummerSlam 88 was held there. SummerSlam 91, Royal Rumble 2000, Royal Rumble 2008, I think, where Cena returned, and I believe he won. So number 2, Madison Square Garden. Legendary wrestling arena. Always had a hot crowd and great fans. I wish I would have lived near New York. I definitely would have tried to go to MSG to a WWF show or WWE shows. Because when we get fans back in the arenas, I'm sure they'll go back to MSG probably for a Raw or something, or house shows. Number 1, my favorite, best wrestling arena, in my opinion. The most hardcore, loud, passionate. You could call them rude, or a lot of them thought they were smarter than the product they were watching. They thought they knew everything that was going to go on, and they were swerved a lot by Paul Heyman in ECW. But still, just all the fun chants they came up with. The ECW chant.
you fucked up chant, holy shit chant, show your tits chant. So many awesome chants. Number one wrestling arena, in my opinion, was a little bingo hall called the ECW Arena is number one. ECW Arena is my number one wrestling arena of all time. That's my top 8 wrestling arenas, where, in my opinion, the crowds are always great and really hot at those arenas. Also, I would like to mention other really good arenas that had pretty hot crowds. TNA's Asylum. TNA's Asylum originally is called the Nashville Fairgrounds, I believe, but then they fixed it up, put in more seating, and it became the TNA Asylum in 2000. I think they started calling it in 2002 or 3, the TNA Asylum. They even ran there a little bit in 2004. So the TNA Asylum fans were usually pretty damn hot and loud and excited. Also, in the beginning, the Impact Zone in Orlando, Florida, Universal Studios, first off, that was a bad idea to stay there for I believe over 10 years. Well over 10 years. They overstayed their welcome. They didn't make any income, I don't believe. They had a deal with Universal Studios. They let all the people that were let in the park, Universal Studios Park, amusement park, they let all those people in. I don't know what they paid, probably $50 or more. I don't know. But they let them all in for free to the Impact Zone to watch the shows, and a lot of them were dead and were not even wrestling fans. They just thought, oh yeah, we're here to see a show, and then they probably saw us wrestling and they didn't care. But I would say that Impact Zone had pretty hyped fans, loud fans, passionate, excited about the product from 2004 until I'd say 2011. After that, the crowds just were dead, and they had to get out of the fucking Impact Zone. But no, they stayed there until I don't know, I think until 2016 or 17 or 18, I'm not even sure. But I will mention, in the beginning, they were good arenas. The Asylum for TNA and the TNA Impact Zone. I could also mention other arenas in Philadelphia for the WWF. The Spectrum was always a hot crowd. For WCW, NWA, Philadelphia was always a great hot crowd. They had a great fucking hot crowd for Halloween Havoc 89. If you got the original video, they do not edit the crowd noise or the original entrance music. That was real rock music, heavy metal put to the entrances. I had the original VHS of Halloween Havoc, not off the network, where they cut the real music out of the entrances, and because I guess it's illegally used, I don't know. Had Guns N' Roses, Welcome to the Jungle as the Steiners theme. That was awesome. And they had all real rock music as the wrestlers' entrances. It was awesome, except for Flair and Sting and Terry Funk. And Great Muta had their own themes. But man, the original video, and I have it, Halloween Havoc 89, they don't edit the music or the crowd. That crowd is fucking excited and loud. And it was really fun to watch. Growing up in the early 90s, I rented that Halloween Havoc 89. I rented it at a video store by my house. I probably rented it like 30 times. Seriously. It was just great to watch. Now, Road Warriors have fucking the Iron Man theme. It was just great entrance music for all the wrestlers. And yeah, they probably stole it, but so what? ECW did too. But anyways, maybe you enjoyed that story. I had the original Halloween Havoc videotape, and I put it on a DVD now, but it's a hot crowd with no edits. Like, the network edited the crowd and the music. So, anyways, hope you enjoy my new countdown top 8 wrestling arenas, in my opinion, with the hottest crowds. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Leave in the comments some of your hottest wrestling arenas and that you've been to or that you've watched on TV and thought, what a fucking great arena and fan base. Bye for now, everybody.